Sup, guys? It's Corrupted
And it's right.
back again
We
with
back.
episode 30. Also, I thought the thumbnail was very fitting for this one. I took the since it's right after Thanksgiving, I took the picture of what's it called, Luffy and Chopper right after they ate Pudding's Cafe. I thought it was fitting for the one right after Thanksgiving to be them all fat and stuff.
You did say the one right after Thanksgiving. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's specifically why I wanted it because it's the episode right after Thanksgiving. But gonna try to make it like a thing. The one after Thanksgiving, it's always gonna be like one of those. It's gonna be like an inside joke with everybody.
Everybody did indeed have a great Thanksgiving and a great Black Friday too, if y'all celebrated that. But
Yeah,
yeah, we back.
really
We
something
on
to
installment
celebrate.
30.
But yeah, we're
Waiting
at number 30. The latter bit of Zoe, and then
the
jumping right
first bit
into
of oat cake.
Whole Cake. Got what 3 more weeks of Whole Cake? Because I think it's almost exactly 100 episodes, right?
I believe so. I
Let
believe
me
so.
double check. It's boom, 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 boom. Yeah, 783 to 878, so it's 105 episodes. But yeah, these episodes start with everyone prepping for the Reverie and Mary Joie. I do think
Pretty
it's
much.
funny that the that how when the story started, Mary Joie had a different name, but it was almost
Yeah.
the same name. But it's just like no, it was actually this the entire time. The people in the One Piece universe were just too dumb to understand that, and that was the whole that part cracks me up. That's what it was. Is that the people of One Piece were too dumb to understand that's what it meant. That it was Mary Joie the whole time, and I just think that's kind of funny. It's like
Pronunciations and stuff like that. I mean, it's
yeah, and like Gold D Roger.
long as we know long as we know what each other's talking about at the end of the day, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, but it starts off with that, and so this theory has absolutely no basis in anything. It's just where the episode started with Vivi and Cobra getting ready to leave, and Cobra has gotten sick since the time skip. He's in a wheelchair now, and he says, "I wish she would find a husband before I pass away." So this has absolutely nothing to do with any actual evidence, but I think Sabo and Vivi are going to end up married by the end of the series if Sabo survives it. Just
Oh, that boy
because,
ship them.
yeah, just no, it's just it makes sense if they do, and it perfectly completes Sabo's character arc if he becomes king, because it lets him be the foil to Tilly and shows all that stuff. Because it showed Tilly becoming king, because we see Tilly in this episode too, like he's mentioned. Uh, Took Sabo's
See what
spot
you
because
said.
Sabo was supposed to be king. Like if he would have done what his parents told him to, Sabo would have been king of the Goa Kingdom. So I think it just works really well if that happens, because it should like let Sabo learn that like it's not the kingdom itself that's inherently flawed. It's just that the people in power are terrible. Like it
But
lets
the thing
Sabo
about
learn that
it,
lesson and all that stuff.
um, cause that's good. I mean, for him to be king, like on actual paper, of course, cause like he's already considered by like these countries that they've helped overthrow, cause that actually is happening right now in the story. They just don't tell us, but that he's helped overthrow, calling him the Flame Emperor, which ends up like
Yeah,
throwing
he's the Flame Emperor, and he's second in
your thing
command.
kind of already there, but on paper it would be nice. And marrying Vivi, that could be something in the works because they do kind of they
Also
have
works
their
because she was
interaction.
friends with Ace and Luffy, so like it
Yeah,
works. But it's just like, just know also what happens later on at the Reverie, and now the characters are actually connected. I just Like my
Mm-hmm.
brain was just like, I didn't realize that Cobra said that exact line, so I wouldn't be surprised
And this is
if
just
that happens.
corrupt this theory, y'all. He want to see Sabo and Vivi tied or not. He
No,
want to
it's
see it.
not that I want them to. It's just it just makes too much sense in my head. But I understand that doesn't mean that it makes sense. It just made. It's just like that's one that I can actually see happening.
It's okay to say you like to see it. It's okay.
I wouldn't even say that I'd like to see it outside of the like I want to be right part. but like, but that's all it was. It was just like I wouldn't be surprised if this happens. And then we learned Wapple uh made a toy empire and used the money from his toy empire to buy a kingdom to get back to the Reverie, which was kind of interesting. And he calls it the Dark Drum Kingdom, which is funny because he could have just called it the Drum Kingdom, since Drum Kingdom changed its name from Drum Kingdom to what's it called? Changed the name to the Sakura Kingdom, or is it the Cherry Blossom Kingdom? I can't remember.
I think Cherry Blossom.
Uh,
It might
But
be
that,
Sakura though in Japanese though. I think the
yeah,
Japanese version is Sakura.
that might be what I'm thinking. I'm just used to the Japanese name, but I hated Wapple the first time, so of course I hate him the second time. But it is funny that he created his own element. Remember, like
Mm,
that's what made his
yeah.
toy so special. Is Wapolonium or whatever it's called, or Wapo metal. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it like makes his toy special and like really hard to break and stuff like that. And that just cracked me up. That's how he became a king after all the debacle where Luffy overthrew him, which really cracked me up. Also, another thing we see in like the same like the end of the episode, and I went back and looked at it. I can't tell the exact moment it changes, but we've just been used to seeing Sanji with it, right? His eyebrow swirls the opposite way of how the show started. Did
Yep.
you ever did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't see like where the stop happens. Like I don't know the exact moment. And it's not the opposite of how his family's is either, because each of them have a distinct pattern. At first, I was just like, "Oh, it's probably just the opposite of how his family is," but it's not, because
Yeah,
each of them have their own distinct swirl
each of them
pattern.
have a swirl pattern, but they all swirl the same direction.
No,
And the thing about Sanji is
Shonji,
Sanji's supposed to swirl the opposite direction. That's his whole thing. And then
no,
when Sanji unlocks his
what's it
Germa
called?
powers, that's how we indicate it going forward. Is when his swirl swirls the opposite direction like his family's.
No, they don't, because Sonoji, or however you say the fourth one, one of his eyebrows are in the same direction as Sanji's.
Yeah, one of them.
But
But
I'm just
Yonji's
like
also
they all
number four.
have
He's
a
after
different
Sanji.
style. They also all of them have a different style of swirl too.
Yeah, but the other family swirls in the same direction. Sanji's the one that's naturally swirls in the other direction, and his switches when unlocks his Germa powers later.
I'll
That's what
say
we gonna get into later.
no, like at the start of like I noticed it when he was a kid and everything. His swirled
Yeah, when he
the
was a
and
kid.
then
Yeah,
not even when he was a kid. And like it shows in his flashback when he's working with Zeph before he joins Luffy, that his eyebrows swirled the same way as Reiju's. Like when it shows him working at the bar ATA, his eyebrows swirl the same direction as Reiju's in the flashback
it's in the anime or in the manga.
in the anime.
Okay, I ain't going.
That's what
If it was,
like I noticed
if
that I
it's,
was like, holy
it could
shit.
that could someone could easily chalk that up as a toy mistake. If you told me that in the manga, it'd be a different story.
Well, it might be the same way in the manga. I can double check, but I just remember thinking that it was worth writing down that that was the case because it was kind of cool. Because I couldn't find
It
the
would be
exact
interesting.
moment.
It'd be interesting to go back into it and like if it was one of those things that like because you think about the time you were talking about when he was a kid, right?
Well, like when he was a kid, it makes sense. But no, I'm
Like,
talking about where
no,
he's
what moment are you talking about now?
So like it does show when he's a kid, like when he has the flashback of them kicking him into the wall and all that stuff with
No,
his
I'm talking about the
brothers.
moment with Zeph because you know he worked with Zeph as a kid too.
Yeah, no, what I'm talking about is
So
he's
what
like
point are you talking about?
he's at least a teenager. It might be right before the Straw Hats show up that his eyebrows are swirled that way in the
I
flashback.
could, yeah. I mean, if it's like
But it
that in
could
the
just be
manga,
a
I say different, but
it could just be a
yeah, it
Toei
could be a
mistake because Toei has made little mistakes like that in the past. But I tried to go
shit
back
recently too.
in
What are you
the.
talking about?
I'm talking about in the past because this is like 2016 stuff. But I tried to go back in the anime to find where they switch, but that's a lot of going back, and I couldn't quite find it in the anime. I was trying to figure out where this, but I noticed that in the thing. I was just like, oh, that's crazy. There's no way that's not on accident, sort of thing. But it's just one of those things. I was just like, ah, cool. And then, so speaking of that, we meet Sanji's family, the German Double Six. Because originally I read the manga, right? So in my head, I always just called it Germa 66. I didn't realize that it's actual Germa Double Six. No one calls it Germa 66 in the show. So, but Germa as a like design was really cool. I really liked the design of Germa, like the like how Oda designed them. You know what I mean? Like it's a borderless nation
Of the
technically.
block, borderless, yeah, borderless nation. They're their own nation. Basically, pretty much, they can farm up wherever they want to because they all their ships kind of work together. The snails, the expansion of the snails in One Piece needs to be studied. Not gonna lie. Those snails can do fucking anything. They're like super freak. Like those are the most versatile animals I've ever seen in across like anything. Like you talking about their communications, video communications, signals, jammers. Now we see them can be a species of them can be ships.
Yeah, and apparently it's not
Like
hard to make them either. Like to make the snails in the because Frankie says it like right before they leave Zoe with the Mink Ninja or the Neek Samurai Pirate Alliance. He's like, I can make talking to Kinemon. He's like, I can just make you some real quick. They're really easy. Like, and it's just like said offhand. So like, what all do these snails have? And apparently, like they're all
talk
over the
about
place.
apparently, but you talk about how Jarma has them, then they kind of have engineered them to just be puzzle pieces to like a big, just a puzzle piece. They all just make a landmass. That's all they do. So if they want to be a nation, they can come pull up next to you and be like, "Hey, we're a nation right here now," and just do what they want.
But also, they're recognized
Like
by the
how they
world
make their
government.
own, yeah, as a nationless nation.
Yeah, which is like kind of weird when you think about it, but at the same time, like weirder stuff has happened. So it's like, yeah,
Weirder things.
like they do weirder stuff, or the world government does weirder stuff. But and then like their design is like a combination of like a couple of different things. Like they use a Garuda as their like symbol because that's Judge's nickname is Garuda. Uh,
Yeah.
but they use that as the symbol. But how it's sitting, it looks sort of like the eagle from like the eagle that Nazi Germany used. But then it's like different enough to where it has a different vibe to it. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like the double-headed eagle from 40K. If anyone's familiar with Warhammer 40K, but it's like a combination of like German stuff, like 1920s German stuff, a little bit of French stuff with like how they name stuff, and a little bit of Spanish stuff. Like obviously the German one like feels kind of
Pretty,
obvious because the name is Germa double six. But it
I
was
know.
just
I don't know. I noticed. I had noticed this when I had watched One Piece the second time around. I know. I always notice it now going back and look at it. The main castle Germ was in, looks oddly similar to what is it? The castle from what is
Soul
it?
Eater.
Not Death. Yeah, Soul Eater.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed that
looks
too.
oddly similar from the castle from Soul Eater. Like oddly similar. Even
Yeah.
the freaking skull and stuff's in the same place. Like it was crazy.
But also, what's interesting about their skull is it has Tomei in it
Yeah,
instead of eyes. The eyes are Tomei's, which is interesting. But like Germa as a concept is cool because they're like a combination of a bunch of different stuff and Power Rangers. Like if you think about it, like they're because like the kids, they're all the different Rangers. There's Red One, Blue Two. Sanji's supposed to be Stealth
the
Black.
yellow three.
So, yeah, Yellow
Yeah,
Three,
Stealth
Stealth
Black is
Black.
his real thing, but yeah,
Yeah,
Stealth Black.
and then what's it called? Is
Raju's the odd one out. I still can't understand Raju. I know it was. I figured I chopped it up to just being a sexist thing. Not gonna lie, the fact
oh, I
they just
chalked it up
thought
to her being 6 because I assumed Judge was 5. Like that's just like how it worked in my head.
mm, it was just a zero for me though.
Yeah, I get like
That's what I was
Judge
saying. The
comes off a
fact was a
0,
zero.
but also the other interesting thing is Sanji is the most resembles Judge the most. We're also gonna see like he resembles his mom more than any of them too. But also like the what's it called? Like he's got blonde hair and black facial features or facial hair. Sanji's the only one that has black facial hair and blonde hair. But the important thing to note is they are completely different colors of blonde hair.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
complete like Sanji's is more like a dull gold tone and Judge's is like a bright yellow. But that's important because we know that gold tone is like, if I remember correctly, isn't that Sanji's mother's hair color? I'm pretty sure it was Sanji's mother's
Kind
hair color.
of. He kind of looks like. Wait, I forgot her name. What was her name again?
I don't remember her name either.
I'll find it.
I trying to remember. Sora.
Or SORA.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
the same. Yeah, she did have a darker yellow, kind of. It was a darker kind of yellow. It wasn't like a
yeah, it
traditional
was like
blonde. It was like
it
a.
was almost the same color as Sanji's hair. Yeah. Looking at a picture
Yeah,
of her.
yeah, me too.
So here I can show one
Um,
off in the thing real quick.
might be looking the same one.
Ah crap. Hold up. I'm just gonna show a bunch of pictures of her real quick just because it's easier. But that's what she looks like for anyone that didn't know what she looked like off the top of y'all's head. But she has there's even a picture here that like compares what his hair looks like in the manga, or not the manga, but the anime, and
Yeah,
her hair, and they're
anime.
almost the same color. They're
They
almost
are.
the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it.
So, but I just thought that was worth bringing up, and also like getting back to the Power Ranger thing, like it also makes sense why Reiju is different because she's like the extra ranger, and if you remember the extra ranger in Power Rangers and what's it called Super Sentai, they're special, they're different.
I see
You
what
know,
you mean.
like the Green Ranger in Power Rangers, like he has extra shit that the other ones don't have, or
Of
like
course, they have their own uniqueness about them.
yeah. So like that's why the Reiju thing always made sense to me. Why she was like a little different from her brothers in that regard. But it could also be like the thing like
I
you're
thought it
saying.
would have. I thought it would have. The thing about it is, I thought they would have kept the same number, like in order of the kids, because that's the way it goes for Ichiji. Niji, then they get to Sanji, then it's supposed to be Yonji. That's why Yonji is number 4, and Reiji is just the zero. Like she got the 6 6 on that, but the zero, like, it's why it still kind of kills me. But she's significantly different than the other guys. When you think about it, when you think about it in your way, keeping that perspective the same, she's significantly different.
Yeah.
Like the
Also,
stuff
she
she
like
can
immune to
do.
poison and shit.
Yeah, being immune to poisons, being able to manipulate that, you know, um, it's just so much. Like when you compare, because even Yonji's different than them, and like they get, like you said, they got their own uniqueness and stuff to them. But like that was I like flow, symmetry, and all that, and it's still one of those things that just bothers me.
Yeah, it makes
Cause like,
sense. But it's just like one of those interesting things that I thought
but
was worth bringing
Judge,
up.
it makes sense like to think too that why Judge would treat his daughters that way. 'Cause, I mean, it is kind of shown like later that he does mistreat Reiju compared to the other boys after Sanji leaves.
But also, isn't it because Reiju is like in the middle? Like the boys are like borderline sociopaths, and Reiju actually cares about stuff, but she doesn't like let her dad see it.
Yeah,
So that's what I always chalked up him not being as close with her. But also, you see in the flashbacks, like when Sanji's a kid, of Reiju's always with him instead of the other way
yeah,
around.
exactly.
Instead of like, and then the kid's always beating him up. But then you got the stuff with I can't think of the name. They're always around. Oh, hey, actually, so I got a different idea to find the thing with like we were talking about with Sanji, right?
Which one?
I couldn't find the exact like flashback, but you can see the first time Sanji ever shows up in the manga, his eyebrows are the same way that Reiju's are. The first time he ever shows up in the
That moment's
manga,
synonymous.
when he like
That
beats the
moment's
crap out of,
synonymous though.
yeah, but where he beats up full body,
Yeah.
yeah, he has Reiju's eyebrows, but now his
Hmm.
eyebrows are swirled the other way.
Hmm. Need that in the SBS order.
Yeah,
I
there's
hope you watch
probably
it.
a spot in the SBS.
I need that. If y'all
Yeah.
know in the comments SBS what I was explaining,
Also, his
please put it down there.
also the interesting thing about it, looking at like compared to the other ones, his eyebrows swirl more.
Earlier than they do.
Like like looking at Reiju's, like Reiju's swirls. But I also think it's just like a inconsistency thing, like how he just drew it in the moment. Like how many times it swirls is
Oh
probably
shit.
based on not necessarily inconsistency, but like when you furrow your brow, something tells me it makes it swirl more for them. If that makes sense, because it shows like at different facial expressions, there's more or less swirls. I never noticed that. I also wasn't looking for it before this, but
I know they swirl. Well, um, the thing about it, because I'm looking at a couple things. Because you remember, you also know that post time skip Sanji switched eyes, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wrote that down too.
Okay, so it's a couple pictures that I'm looking at because when Sanji's older versus the one where there was the in the anime shot where you remember Sanji sat down in that chair and Reiju came to his side. You see Sanji's eye, the left eye is swirled. The swirl is on like inside of his eye versus Reiju. Her same eye is swirled the opposite way. But in the same panel, there's a when he was a kid. When he was a kid now, um, you see his right eye is swirled on the outside, just like Reiju's left eye is swirled on the outside. And this is when they're looking face to face. When she tells him later, kind of tell him he needs to get his stuff together, get out of here, you can find a way, all that whole montage.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, it had to like I need to see Sanji's other eye, like to say it for sure, like the way it is to
But
see
also, I
where the
like that
consistencies lie.
because like when he's a kid, he swaps, but it's like he does the opposite of his oldest brothers. You know, because like when Ichiji was a kid, he had his he had his left eye covered, and it's like he's like Sanji does like the opposite of what he does because he doesn't like him, or at least like
Oh,
that's how I thought about it.
it's all good. I mean, we're gonna get more into, Sanji's eye swirls a lot later
Yeah,
because
I think it might
they
show
kind of
him
be the.
both in when he fights
I'm definitely gonna look out
what's it
for it
called?
more. Look out for it more going forward.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that we met him with. He could also just have the opposite of Yonji's eyes too, because you know how Yonji has the left eye swirls inward and the right eye swirls outward. He could just do that, but I just thought it was
Yeah,
something worth pointing out because I thought it was interesting. Just
that
because
could
it
be
shows
it.
in the
Actually, he
flashback.
could actually he could just be the opposite of Yonji, and they could just swirl the other way. That one could have just swirls the other way in the right way when he goes to his Germa powers. Because Yonji's the fourth. You gotta realize Yonji was after Sanji,
Yeah, but aren't they what's it called?
supposedly.
Aren't they
Is it supposed to be?
I thought it was like their birth order because aren't they like for some reason I wanted to say that they're quadruplets.
I couldn't even tell you. All I know is that in the order, Yonji's supposed to be after Sanji. But it might be. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It might be one of those things that I keep missing.
Yeah. The it's their birth order, but they are quadruplets. That's what I thought. I was pretty sure they were. The Reiju's the oldest, and then
Is she? So that's why she's zero?
yeah, that's she's the oldest.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Like she's
I
older than
feel
the
dumb.
boys. Like
I feel dumb now.
and it's just they're literally just named in their birth order because Ichi is one, Ni is two, San is
Two.
three, and Yon is
Sign is
four.
three.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So that's why they're named like that, and that's why they're numbered like that. So yeah, that's what it was. I was pretty sure they're quadruplets. Also, I don't get why they're talking about like why is he weaker than his siblings. He's not at this point, which is funny.
I mean,
He's
that was
actually
the that was
stronger.
the
He's
that was the
actually the
whole point.
strongest. Like at this
That was the
point in
whole
the
point.
story, like it's like because Judge has the whole thing where Judge has to make someone kill themselves, uh, to fake out Sanji because I'm pretty sure Judge knew that Sanji's kick would have won if he didn't get rattled right before it happened, like in their
Yeah.
duel, because he's just like, holy shit, Sanji can use hockey, nice. And also we see that because so we know from the SBS the fire Sanji uses is the actual fire of his heart,
Yeah.
according to Oda. Well, his brothers can't do anything like that, but
I mean, you simplify the fact that we didn't see them do too much outside of them having on a raid suit versus we
yeah,
saw Sanji literally like almost work them like with no raid suit.
yeah. But also the other thing is his dad has a power that's similar to his, but his dad uses electricity instead of fire, which I thought was interesting. Where he uses the electromagnetic whatever kick,
Yeah.
and it shows it very similarly to how the Diable moves that Sanji uses. It works very similarly. So I just thought it was interesting and worth like pointing out that maybe he got that power, that ability from his dad, because he's been able to do that since. When's the first time it actually caught on fire? The first time I remember it catching on fire, it might have caught on fire before this. I'm not saying it's not, but the first time I remember it being actual fire was when he fought the dog guy in Water 7.
Jobber.
Yeah, but like in my head, I always thought it just
I
looked
mean,
like
that what
fire,
that's
but
when
no, it's actual
wasn't
fire.
that when Diablo Jam got revealed?
I think
Correct me
so.
if I'm
I
wrong.
think it's The cool thing about the how like Sanji's choreography though, this is something that people might not have noticed, is over time. Like at first he used almost exclusively capoeira stuff, right? Besides like Diablo Jambe, but we see later
for the
on
most.
with this stuff, he starts incorporating. I don't want to say more real things because capoeira is a real style. It's just not a prevalent style, but he starts incorporating a lot of Muay Thai into his more modern
That's
stuff,
what I was going to
his
say. No,
choreography,
that's what I was going to
and I
say.
really
As
like it.
soon as you mentioned it, as soon as you mentioned him early incorporating capoeira, is that how you say it? Please correct me.
Capoeira.
Capoeira. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm saying it right.
it's a Portuguese word.
When he was first incorporating capoeira in it, because his infreak jump, when we get to that, that's a Muay Thai stance.
But also the kick that he was about to land on his dad was a side teep kick. The
Ah,
where
you
the
know more about
spear,
it than I do.
yeah, when he's about to throw that kick, that's not his traditional side kick. That's like a sideways teep kick. Like you'll see them use it in like if you watch One FC, because they have like some of the best Muay Thai fighters in the world. You'll see they'll throw some of them throw their teep kick like that instead of like a front kick because it's harder to catch. Because the foot, instead of being straight up and down, it's easier to catch when it's straight up and down. Because you can catch and then sweep in Muay Thai competition. A lot of them like to throw it like that because when it's sideways, it's much harder to catch on when it's coming back out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so I just
Because
thought
I
it was
know,
cool to point out.
because as soon as you said it, because I knew I had recognized in his later stuff that he was incorporating Muay
Yeah,
Thai
he even
because
has the
that.
stance, like the
Yeah, because when he goes in for John, when he put his hands up by his head and put that one foot up, I'm like, boy, that's a Muay Thai stance right there. But it's crazy, bro. That Oda's, because you mentioned before in some of our earlier episodes how Oda had to be like a fight, had to be study fights at some point because of the pride being so big back in Japan at one point, and to hear it now and to see it like in in the later works, seeing it like how he changed from capoeira to Muay Thai or incorporating more Muay Thai into
yeah,
it.
and he gets less and less
It's real
capoeira,
interesting.
which is also really cool. That it's
Oh,
like as
excuse
he
me.
gets stronger is when he starts implementing the Muay Thai, because we don't really like if you don't know if people watching are fans of like MMA and stuff, but capoeira has like no wins in MMA, but Muay Thai has tons of champions. Like Charles Oliveira, former lightweight champion, his striking base is Muay Thai. Vanderlei Silver's striking base was Muay Thai. Stuff like that.
So when
Khalil
you think about it
Roundtree
in
just
that
fought
regard,
for the like he lost the title fight, but he just fought for the title back in September. His striking base is Muay Thai. It's just really clever
so
on Oda's part
when
that
you
he's
think
putting in
about
more.
yeah,
I don't want to be mean and say capoeira is not a good fighting style because in the
no,
right
say
hands
what
it's
it
good,
is.
but Muay Thai is definitely the more proven fighting style.
When you think of no, think about it like this. Think about it like this. Just like how you started off when you said that capoeira like doesn't have any like professional MMA wins. So when you think
Or
about
any
Sanji in his
notable,
earlier way,
any notable,
notable,
like there's
okay,
like no notable people with the
notable
base.
professional,
Yeah.
professional fight wins. Do you think about
But there are some
versus with
techniques that
Sanji
are used,
first?
like the reverse
Okay,
wheel kick
okay.
is a capoeira kick, stuff like that.
So when you think about stuff like that, when you think about how Sanji first came out, when he was also like flown by like the seat of his like pride and not want to hit women and stuff like that, versus him getting older or not older, but him becoming more experienced and using more of the efficient fighting style is what I
Yeah,
would
because
say.
he even
The word
uses
I
like
would
knees
use.
and stuff too.
Because you think about it, if you've seen it, if you've seen how capoeira is used, you can see versus Muay Thai how Muay Thai kind of has the more faster leg strikes. Trying to versus the capoeira sets up for the more powerful, but it's a lot of setup kind of
Well,
in the
I wouldn't even
process.
say that it's like more powerful. It's more so
But it's
like
more setup into it, right?
kind of like capoeira. So capoeira was the so it's from back in the day when the I can't remember what group enslaved a bunch of the Brazil like the native Brazil population, and they weren't allowed to learn how to fight. So they created a fighting style that looks like dancing, and
Yeah,
that's capoeira.
I
And
know
so
about that.
like it's like a bunch of flashy stuff to look like dancing, but a lot of that stuff like the best way to say it, like you don't, it's not the most efficient because like it's can't be the most efficient if you're disguising it as dance, but it does have some good, like the reverse wheel kick and stuff like that was modified from that. And if you've ever watched Edson Barbosa fight, like the reverse spinning wheel kick is absolutely monstrous. So, but it's not necessarily that it's a power over that. It's just that particular technique has a lot of power, if that makes sense. Or like the
But
kick
still, like
that Connor famously
he
uses.
went from a less efficient style to a more efficient style, and that's in him learning
Yeah.
his like getting more. You can say it's like him getting more comfortable in his style because it's a lot that you can say. Like look at Sanji from where he came from because he never really had to use his feet a lot to do that kind of stuff prior to being a pirate because he was a cook. So of course he used his
Well,
hands more
also,
than his feet.
what's it called?
But
Zeph
to
is the
go
one that
so
taught him to
far
fight with his feet.
yeah, but still, then when you go, but putting it into actual, so putting it into actual practice and learning it versus just knowing it and doing it are two different things. So you can see how him being using a less efficient style in the beginning pre-time skip versus using the more efficient implementing more efficient ways in his fighting style post time skip. I do see where the marquee change was, like where the inspiration was from. And it's beautiful. Like using that trying to be more efficient because like that's what Sanji needs to be. Like we talk about New World trying to be one of the wings of the Pirate King, knowing that he's gonna go into more harder challenges, more stronger foes, him being more efficient in his fighting style, which is already like not normal than the most people he's going against, and him implementing those things just makes him more of a. It shows his willingness and his ability to grow. You know,
Also,
like
I just thought about something. When you were talking about like it's kind of weird that Reiju Zero, I didn't think about it. The first heir of a traditional Japanese household is not the oldest daughter; it's the oldest son. So that's why she's zero.
mm-hmm.
That's why she's zero,
mm,
and Ichiji is
that's
one.
interesting.
It's because the firstborn son is the first heir in traditional Japanese household. So that's why Reiju, it literally like Re literally means zero. So that's that's what I completely forgot about that. Just because like a lot of kingdoms in One Piece don't follow that. Like if Cobra randomly had a son out of nowhere, Vivi's still the crown princess. Like she's still next to that, but it makes sense from Germa being how they are, more militaristic and stuff like that. That the reason
Yeah,
Reiju
more
is
militant and stuff.
zero. Yeah, they're more traditionalist. The reason that Reiju is zero is, but yeah, it's, excuse me. I just thought it was worth bringing up because I totally forgot about that aspect of traditional Japanese culture. Had a burp there for a second, but
That's
yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't think about it like that ever. Like them being more militant, trying to keep honor in amongst their family makes sense. Like it really make a lot of sense.
yeah. I just thought it was worth bringing up. Also, that's why she has Z on everything is because she's zero, and apparently she is 3 years older than the Quints, or not the
Yeah,
Quints, but the
HG.
Quadruplets. Yeah, she
At
is
least
3 years
HG.
older. She is 3 years older than them because they are 21 at this point in time. But yeah, with the also another way that I like to think about it, like you were saying, it's like it's a it being a noticeable improvement to his fighting style. It's like he learned how to fight from Zepp originally, but then it's like in Kamabakan Kingdom, he actually learned how to fight. Like he
Yeah.
learned a fighting style that would actually work before people in the comments get mad that I'm saying that capoeira won't work, sorry to burst your bubble. Muay Thai is better than capoeira. But I just thought it was a nice little bit there and worth pointing out. And then from there, we learn about a little bit about Big Mom and her claim to want a country without discrimination, but that's not really what she's after. She just wants everything because she's selfish. She is. It's almost like she had completely misunderstood what Gold Roger meant when he says that he got everything that the world had to offer him. Like the original opening for One Piece, where it said like Roger achieved everything that the world had to, or Roger claimed everything the world had to offer. It's like Big Mom heard that and went the wrong ass way with it. You know what I mean? Yo, Dragon, you there? I think there's a bit of a technical difficulty there, guys. You there?
Test.
Can you hear me?
Test. I hear you. I didn't realize you didn't hear me.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
I didn't even realize that. How long was that?
I don't know how long you were talking for.
Jesus.
I don't know when the last time you talked was.
I don't know at what point I went out.
Back to near where we were talking about capoeira. It's the last time I heard something. The last time that.
What you went past? You went past that. I think you. No, because you heard me with the capoeira thing. We went past that.
Yeah. But I'm saying when I went back to it with the talking about Kawabakta Queendom.
No, when he was just talking about fighting. Just like, because I know this guy we talk about, he learned how to fight from Kamabaka Queendom, and it makes sense because that's where he got all his. Yeah, it's a big level up because that's where he got. Yeah, he went. Well, that's also where he got the big thing in his. When you notice how stronger his legs got, because when he learned his version of the airwalk.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's cool that he learned how to airwalk because it gives him the same thing that they have, like the special thing about his like the thing that his family thinks is special, that they can fly, and Sanji's just like, dude, I can do that without a red suit.
That's the big thing too. That when you brought up how he's actually stronger than them, and I actually had to go through and think about, like, he does everything they can do without a raid suit,
except for the like special powers each individual one has.
It's best for like the special powers, and I think at this point he didn't have the defense. At this point,
he didn't have the defense. But remember, he kicked Yonji so hard that it collapsed his face.
Yep.
And like Yonji was the weakest of the other two, but like Yonji, we haven't seen the special power that they each have yet. But Yonji has like stretchy arms, but like mechanically stretchy arms, not like Luffy.
And
then Ichiji has fire, right? Isn't it fire? But not like Ace's fire, but like
You talking about Ichiji? I mean Niji.
I thought Niji was lightning.
Lightning is hold on.
Ichiji's the red
blue-haired guy. Blue-haired guy is Ichiji's the red one. Okay, he's like he does have some kind of fire-ish thing.
Yeah, something to do with fire.
Not
and
like
the blue one has something to do with lightning. I can't remember exactly what it was. But we're going to talk about it next week because we're going to see it next week. But but like Sanji does all that shit like just naturally. Like he can use fire naturally to augment his power, like with the Diable stuff. So like the only thing he doesn't have is like the not indestructible skin, but like their skin's supposed to be tougher than steel.
Doesn't have it yet.
Yeah. And plus, every time we seen them do something, they were in their raid suits, which like multiplies their physical capabilities. by I think like Judge says like 10 when he talks to Sanji about his raid suit. What like he like shows the thing where he's just like, and I used to work for Vegapunk and all that stuff when he talks about that.
Yeah.
And then past the Sanji stuff, we get Luffy. What I picked for the thumbnail: Luffy and Chopper eating an entire cafe, and they get saved by Pudding. And
We go. That's them by the time they've gotten all through. Uh, something I did notice that I did want to talk about
what's
before we
up?
get too far into Total Land, bruh. Let's. Oh, one thing I do because we talk about how Luffy is the Ubermensch and stuff all the
Yeah,
time, and like it hit me like a truck too. How far them and the crew have gotten, but also to think about how fortunate they were. To fact that right before all of this, that they had Luffy almost died from the fact that they got so hungry that they just caught the first thing they caught without even looking what it was. You know,
yeah, and Luffy
and
just
that's
eats
what
it.
caused Reiju. Yeah, that's what caused Reiju to pretty much like have to do the poison transmission and shit like that. But think about how far they got in the Total Land without food and stuff that they're just going through this magical place that's made out of food as this time that y'all don't have a cook.
Well,
While at the
remember
same time y'all looking at everything like
this.
y'all just died. Like you almost lost your captain from not looking at what stuff was, and you just go to this place with food, and we just eating it left, right,
So
front, and center. Which
something important to
I
bring
like
with
it.
that is remember like Luffy's just like his entire personality when it comes to that stuff is I believe we'll make it through. We got this.
Yeah,
But he has the whole thing where Reiju has to save him. Do you remember what Brooke says right after Reiju saves him? Because I wrote it down. Because it
get
felt.
it.
Um, Brooke says, "Fortune favors the Pirate King to be at every turn." And that's not the first time he said, or the only time he says something like that in this arc about how weird it is that things keep coming up in Luffy's favor.
Yeah,
Like later on, he's gonna say more stuff, but if like how we said before, the sorry, burp. How we said before that we're not so sure that the Gum Gum Fruit's power is imagination. What if it's belief? Like all these little like things keep lining up because Luffy thinks it's gonna like Luffy full heartedly believes it's gonna work out for him. And then like a bunch of moments where the stars just have to align for him to be able to do it. They just happen to align.
that's true. That's very true.
Like fate itself seems to change to help Luffy because Luffy believes fate itself will change to help him become the Pirate King.
And that's just a beautiful example. But what thing? Because like seeing the crew kind of like they was losing their cool from the point when he was like poison written and stuff. But it's like when they leave that moment, just how we get into Total Land, right up until the point where they start going to the places and start eating, bruh. They just go with the motion the same way that they just had got caught, like the same way that just got Luffy caught up. Y'all didn't think to look at none of this stuff. It's like none of this stuff might be poison or anything like that. It just goes to show the same thing, which what you just said. Luffy believing he's gonna make it through. Now them just going through the motions, like we just got through this big thing. Nothing could be worse than what he just went through. So they going through the motions with him too, like it's nothing. But plus they are in the food area. All the stuff's made out of food. I mean, I don't blame them. But it's just like it's like they almost forget it. Almost
Yeah, and then all the food stuff, like
they didn't know about.
once they get into it, like Luffy seems to be just fine with a lot of it too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they look out that they run into the fish monsters that are edible now, like the giant watermelon, the peach,
yeah,
and the
yep.
orange. Uh, I forgot what they're called as particular type of
Excuse me.
fish, But it just like everything just keeps coming up Luffy, or like the fact that when it happens, they were put in pretends because at that point she doesn't know it's Luffy. She like legitimately doesn't know it's Luffy. Like he gets lucky and he eats her cafe, and then she shows up and pretends that they were actually the demolition men. But she's
Yeah.
also, if you remember, like she has like, there's no polite way to say it, but she has a severe praise kink. Like, cause the whole reason that she like goes, no, I told them to do this is because Luffy says it was too delicious. I could not stop eating it. That's like legit the whole reason that she's like, well, actually, officer, don't let them get in trouble. I paid them to do it.
Yeah.
And
Type
she like
shit.
freaks out every time that like every time they're sitting in her house and he's just like, this is like the best chocolate I've ever eaten. And she freaks out every time that they say something that she did was good or something that she did was great, because they don't say it's good. They call her chocolate great. And I love I love the she says, she starts talking about it. She's like, I did all this stuff meticulously, cooked it at 29 degrees, and I thought it was funny enough to write down. And Luffy says, I didn't understand any of that, but your walls were awesome. And I was just like, there's no way in hell that the people that wrote the script didn't see the joke there. I refuse to believe that they didn't see the joke there. Like the
Let's not
innuendo there.
emphasize.
There's no way they didn't see that joke there. They 100% saw the, like, it's
Let's
hilarious.
not emphasize.
Like there's no way they didn't make that joke on
Let's
purpose.
not emphasize. I see what you're saying, but let's not emphasize.
But I just thought it was hilarious. Like, and then I love that Chopper because like mentally he's like 8. Like we know that he's much older than 8. I think we looked it up a few minutes ago. He's like 17 years old, but he acts like an 8-year-old, and he's just freaking out because all the food, like the house, is so delicious. Like he even says, "Man, this table is amazing," and he's just munching on the table, and you see him in the background of it. I love that you see him in the background of it, and you just see the table slowly breaking down and getting smaller while they're talking, just because Chopper's eating the table. And that's another thing about the design of Totoland that I really like, is it's like a weird combination of Candyland, like the board game, and then Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland. You know what I mean? It's like a weird fusion dance of those two things. But it has like its own spin on it, which makes it interesting. Makes it memorable. Uh, and then when they're talking with Pudding, Luffy just says, I'm gonna be king of the pirates," and Pudding tries to pretend like she's being nice to them and everything. Pedro's just like, nope, this lady's evil. I can tell. I just know.
Straight up
That's
out the
not
gate, just like
that
that.
shit not working on me. He was just like, do we need to kill her? Like he straight up pulls out his sword and just like, should we kill her? Because Pedro sees right through all that bullshit, dude. All of it. And then we see a little thing where Big Mom, like the first time we actually get to see Big Mom for real, um she says all this stuff like, we're gonna eat all the cake, and then we see her people like kill a ton of people to steal fruit, flour, and eggs for the wedding reception. And then Big Mom, like in her big song and dance number, she says, "We know you're here, Straw Hat." So like she knows that
Mm-hmm.
Luffy's there. So we know that probably the first person that know Luffy was there is Pudding. So probably no, but also Big Mom's whole thing is she's like an information broker. Like I've heard a theory that I really like, that each Yonko controls a certain aspect of the underworld. Like Kaido controls the weapon trade, which he does. He uses Joker
Mm-hmm.
to control the weapon trade. People think that Shanks controls the logistics. I forgot what the theory that Blackbeard controls, but the theory that Big Mom controls is that she controls the flow of information. Yeah.
Yep.
Because, like, she knew who Zeph was. Because, like, that's how, what made Sanji go is Beiji was just like, dude, we know who Zeph is. Or Zep. Like, we can give you a box with his head in it if it'll make you feel better. Like he actually says,
yeah,
like, we'll give you a box with Zeph's head, or Zep. Is his name Zep or Zeph?
Zeph. Like Jeff, but with a Z.
I don't know why my brain keeps going back and forth with those two, like they're interchangeable. But
I remember that little thing, that tidbit. I think it was Big Mom was information, Kaido was weapons.
The theory is Shanks is about like movement.
Crew, ain't it? Yeah, movement. Yeah, that's what it is.
Because there's supposedly a way to go take the underwater currents, and you can't do it if you have a crew with devil fruit users, and Shanks' fruit has zero, or crew has zero.
Actually, bro, you know the theory. It's a theory now with the latest chapter. I ain't gonna get into it, but
I have not read 1132 yet.
Yeah, it's a bigger theory than that.
Oh, you talking about? You talking about that defeating Loki was how he became Marco?
Nah. I'm talking about how he moves, how he's able to move so fast.
Yeah, it's solid theory because the entire Whole Cake arc pretty much proves that Big Mom's the queen of information.
Oh, even before that, but like, I wouldn't. It alluded to it in Fishman Island, but it's probably like the best it is now. Like
it alludes to it, but this 100% confirms, because like Big Mom knows everything that happens in Toto Land, like immediately. Like every little thing, because remember, she controls all the inanimate objects in Toto Land.
Yeah, and then her network she got too. You know that network she got in the currents that they got to avoid later. We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
But
and then we get
we'll remember this. We'll talk about it again next week for sure.
This could sound a little familiar, but Pudding's big sister ran off to sea to find a love of her choosing in search of a husband. And Nami's just like, that sounds like somebody I know.
Excuse me.
And then we learned that Big Mom got around a lot.
A lot is an understatement at this point. She makes
the Duggar family look quite tame.
A lot is an understatement at this point.
$39 and 46 sons. And only like 3 of them are worth a damn. Hold up, let me do the math real quick. Chiffon was pretty cool. Lola's pretty cool.
It's like 85 kids.
Yeah, she has. I'm talking about like how many of them are actually like cool though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't get on my nerves.
Like actually, yeah.
I think 4 of them don't get on my nerves. I think 4 of them. Just because Katakuri's fucking gangster. He was really cool. And then, like, there's like Lola and Chiffon, because Chiffon's an actual fucking gangster. Chiffon is Beiji's wife. Like, we've ran into her for a split second, but she's like an actual fucking gangster. She's actually Lola from back in the day. They're actually twins. From back in Thriller Bark. I couldn't think of the name for a second, but the chick that gives Nami a Viva card of her mom, that's Chiffon's twin sister.
Yeah, that's Lola.
Because we're going to go over that in like 12 minutes. Because when we get to Pound.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love how pissed off Brooke is that Pudding like dotes on Sanji. Brooke's just like, that's not fucking fair. And also that it's weird how she says like his eyebrow is curly, like it's a downside, like it's an ugly feature, because he's like, his eyebrow is rather curly, but he's a dashing gentleman like that, like, and is apparently like his eyes turning to hearts is annoying, like, or ugly, but he did teach her a lot about baking sweets and then they like similar stuff because he's a chef, she's a pastry chef. But like, it was
So yeah,
interesting that
they
those
can
were
get down like that.
negatives. It's interesting that those were negatives. So in my head, it like implies that in canon, Sanji's ugly.
What?
That's what how she said, like, because like, or what she says is his eyebrows, or she says his eyebrow was rather curly because he only shows one eyebrow because he covers half his face. But he was a dashing gentleman. His eyes were hearts, but he did teach me quite a bit about baking. So she likes or she's pretending to like his personality. But when talks about like him as a person, she describes him as weird, like his face is being weird.
Okay, it's not her preference.
I get it, but it's funny
Don't do the
that
thing. Don't
every
do the thing that everybody does now. You hear one person's perspective. Now he's just an ugly person, like out of nowhere, off
no.
one
But
person's perspective.
this is what I'm getting at. It's the because everyone else, or not everyone else, because if you remember, the minks liked him, which makes it
Also, remember
interesting.
he helped. You got to also remember he helped save the Minx's life. Got to
Yeah,
also
yeah,
remember that.
yeah, that
That's a
too.
factor.
But then also, when Duval looked like him, Duval was considered ugly. But when Duval looked less like him, he was considered attractive.
But Duval never really truly looked like him.
Yeah, yeah, they looked similar.
Sanji thought he looked like a worser version of him, and Duval thought the exact same way about Sanji. So Sanji beating him, making him look different in a way that Duval himself liked better, to the point that he threw his ego in a whole different way. The whole part that you got to realize is it was all about a self preservation first. The things about Sanji that came out to pudding, she thought he was weird looking, but the things in which she looked at him, the stuff he does, the fact that he's a gentleman, the fact she found commonality in the
But also,
fact they
all that
both
stuff is
cook
fake.
and stuff like that.
She doesn't like him at all.
Of course,
But
of course. Like so, like all the stuff you gotta like realize, like these are all preference things, like self things that they view about themselves that they're projecting onto other people. But Duval and Sanji were interchanged because I mean, it was Sanji's name but Duval's picture.
yeah, no, I was just saying it was like it seemed. I'm not saying that she calls him ugly, but she like implies that he's not attractive, and I just thought it
To
was
her.
kind of funny that Sanji is considered a ladies' man, but like,
Yeah, but this is also
but
one
also
lady's opinion of him.
later on she's gonna think he's attractive, but makes me wonder, does it have something to do with like her third eye that we'll get into? Maybe, I don't know, because like later on she does actually like call him attractive. So I just thought it was something to point out now that she doesn't find him attractive now, but in like 50 episodes, not even 50 episodes, she's gonna find him attractive. But it's gonna be like she doesn't straight up call him unattractive. She just heavily implies that she does not find him attractive, which kind of gives away the fact that like the stuff that like it kind of foreshadows that she's not that into Sanji, and Pedro like picks up on it immediately. And then she has all the stuff of I gotta marry him because Mama said I have to.
That's the whole premise.
Yeah, but and then she says like I was stunned how wonderful he was. I thought it was a dream, but then very end he said I want to marry you, but I can't. I need to get back to my crew, and she starts crying in front of them. Like when they're talking, like she tears up
Mm-hmm.
because she's sad, and then they're all like shocked. They're just like Sanji turned down a girl, but I think that's a good character moment for Sanji because I haven't made it a secret that I find Sanji annoying, and that's the thing about Whole Cake that makes me like Whole Cake as an arc and not dislike it. Like it is a worse arc than Dressrosa narratively, but the thing that saves the arc for me is it redeems Sanji's character as just like the comic relief simp man to actually being
Well,
likable.
I mean, this whole thing was like a opening of Sanji's like whole character. I mean, it would make sense that this arc was supposed to do wonders for him.
Yeah,
Like,
like
but the thing about it was like, 'cause I mean, we got into Sanji's like whole everything. Like, we got into Sanji's like
well, also there's
backstory. We got
the
into Sanji's family. We got into Sanji's like, like what makes him tick. We got into the reason why he's the way he is.
also
You know what I'm
Yonji is
saying?
almost exactly like him in of like the like overly into ladies
Yeah.
because like he like freaks out when he sees Nami for the first time. Like he can't shut up. Like he's got hard eyes and he's freaking out, calling her a cutie and everything. But it was what like really shows off the fact like Sanji's like maturing as a character was when he's eating dinner with his brothers and the second oldest Niji like calls the head chef in and she's looks the same as like every woman Sanji's ever hit on. But at no point did he try to hit on her or anything. He's just like, my brother's a piece of shit, and I apologize for his actions.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the typical stuff that he pulls, where he just tries to hit on like that. Like that's one thing about Whole Cake that it does good is it redeems the part about Sanji that made me not stand him.
I mean, but Sanji's never mistreated women though.
Yeah, he's never mistreated women, but
Like he
like,
just went like, but he's
well,
being
also
around
he
his
did
family.
threaten to do it. He did threaten to mistreat women in one regard. If he could have got his hands on the clear fruit, he'd just peep all
I
the time.
mean, that's a self-serving thing. I don't
Yeah,
really see
but
it
that
as a
is
mistreatment because
I do
he's
I
trying to
do see
do it in the
peeping as a
most.
mistreatment.
He's trying to do it in the most. Because the thing about Sanji's character, there's nothing in his character right now stopping him from doing that. But he wants to clear fruit in order for him to do it in the most respectful way that he views it. Not saying it is a respectful way, but the way that he views it, so he doesn't be seen doing it
And then
because he knows
also
how disrespectful it is.
there's a recent SBS to go with that where Oda was making a joke about how dangerous Sanji would be if he had the Dordor fruit.
Oh
Because he
Lord.
said, yeah, in the SBS, he said that no woman would ever be safe from Sanji's peeping eyes. In the SBS.
Yeah,
So,
Door's a little bit crazier.
yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny on the track. But, like, we finally see, like, he's not like that with every chick that he meets here. Like, he's just like, wow, pudding's gorgeous. But I'm gonna tone it down. I'm not gonna be the weirdo that I normally. Also, like we see in Pudding's flashback, that is actually what happens when they meet for the first time. How it works out in like the flashback where she's like, "He was so nice to me" and stuff like that. That is kind of how it goes down. Normally, he would have been all over her, made it weird and stuff like that. But it's like since they left Dressrosa, because like he was kind of weird with some of the minks, but the minks were also doing it back with him. Uh but after he saw like he almost died to Doflamingo in Dressrosa, he got saved by Law. He's kind of been less of a weirdo about it, and I really like that character growth there. Like we don't get to see him a ton because he's in almost none of Dressrosa, but it's like the first time in forever that he legitimately almost died. And then after that point, he's less creepy.
That's a good point.
Like, remember, like, oh, he was going to 100% kill him with overheat. Like, Doflamingo was 100% going to kill him before Law saved him. But then after that moment, like you saw when he was with Nami, he wasn't weird with Nami like he always is. He was just polite, cordial, and stuff like that. It's almost like a moment where he was going to die made him a less shitty character. And that makes sense because that's how like it would work. Like if you're in a situation like that, like damn, I was kind of weird here. I
Big
apologize.
self-reflection moment.
Yeah. And then Oda actually like that's like what this entire arc is at the end of the day. Besides like Luffy learning how to master observation hockey, but that's at the end of the arc. But like that's the whole cake is just the redemption of Sanji's character, and I fuck with it. It's clever too how they did it too.
Yeah.
So, and also you see like the good parts from Sanji before are there too, like his like how he'll always go to bat for his friends, stuff like that. Like the parts that weren't annoying about his character, they just got overshadowed by it. He has that still, like like he doesn't like wasting food because he almost starved to death. Like he was ready to fight his brother to the death over that shit.
Mm-hmm. As he should have been.
Like he was just like,
The
yo, bro, we can go
consistency.
outside. We can go.
The
But
consistency.
before the thing where he almost like Doflamingo almost killed him, before he probably would have hit on the chef too. At that moment, but he doesn't. It's almost like he finally grew the fuck up, and you see like later on, like he's still gonna like hit on girls and stuff like that, but once he knows Pudding is actually in love with him, he like tones it way down. Like at the at the end of the arc, like when they make
Yeah,
the
toning
wedding
it
cake
way
and everything.
down.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
like tone like when he runs into other people in like Wano and Egghead, like it's toned way down. And it's appreciate. It's like actual character growth that you can see over time. Like if you plot out like the last time he was creepy to like the end of Whole Cake, and every time you keep seeing him, he's noticeably less creepy post. And there's actually a real world explanation for that, and I think it's hilarious. The reason Sanji gets towed down is it's from like a SBS, I think it was. It's Oda has daughters now. And that's so it's actually pretty clever in my opinion that the reason Sanji gets toned down and like he's less weird about women is because Oda was just like, I don't want my daughters to have to go through people like Sanji when they're older. So we're going to show like how to properly have that person grow up. Like to mature, how to properly have someone like that mature. And personally, I think that's really fucking cool. Like just from a writing perspective. Because that's why Sanji gets toned down so much. It's because Oda realizes how weird Sanji kind of was and how he doesn't want to glorify that behavior Sanji had and stuff like that, all because he had daughters. Because I think Oda has like 2 daughters. No. And they're not that old. Yeah, 2 daughters. One was born in 2006 and one was born in 2009. Yeah, it's 2 daughters. But I think it's cool. Like as the time like his daughter started getting older, he like toned down
Makes
Sanji's.
sense.
Yeah, because this was
sense.
written in like 2016 through 2018, I believe, is when Whole Cake was written.
Of course, his perspective would change. Of course.
Yeah, but
It's literally why I tell people all the time why you should watch One Piece, because all of the One Piece is literally, when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's literally work that transcends not only when you talk about the anime history as a whole, but when you're looking at artists like Oda, who's also has stuff, his own personal ideas and experiences altered throughout the show. Is truly a work of art. So I tell people to watch it all the time.
also Whole Cake has chocolate hamburgers and chocolate spaghetti and chocolate fried chicken, and I want to know what those taste like.
Chocolate.
No, I want to know, like, is it all chocolate or is it a hamburger with chocolate on it? Because that sounds disgusting.
Like those don't already exist.
Yeah, there's probably. And then after the whole thing with Pudding, they go back to the ship after resupplying, and Peckham's is missing. Dun, dun, dun. And in the bathroom, I love that they're just like, we can't find him. And Luffy's first thing is, did you check the toilets? Maybe he's pooping. And the kanji that says turn back is in the restroom, which means that he either ran in there trying to get away from the people attacking him, or he was in the restroom when he got attacked. Which kind of cracks me up. That Luffy was probably right. When he's just like, did you check the bathroom? Because I think Luffy understands much more than we give him credit for. And then we get to see some of Ichiji and Niji when they crush the end of a war. Shows up, and we see that like they can tell their men to kill themselves whenever. And he just point blank shoots a dude in the face with his own gun at the end of the war. And he's just like, thank you for your money. We're gone. Oh yeah, and also what's interesting is what the commander of the army that won the war says. He says, you have saved our country, but did we enlist the help of the devil? No, it was the help of God. Just because, like, it just shows how much stronger, like, Germa shows up and ends a war almost immediately because they're so much more powerful than other kingdoms.
With not even like a fraction of their actual power.
Yeah, it was like, I think like 16 people in uniform, and then Niji and Ichiji, and they just immediately fucking win. Also, another important thing is Pudding gives them a map of how to get through. And we don't know this now. But it's actually bullshit. The map is actually kind of bullshit. Not that it tells them where to go, but the idea was the map was supposed to go around the security apparatuses. But it actually shows that they go right over them. Remember when it shows the, I forgot what those, like, jellyfish manta ray thingies are, with the hats on. Like, it shows that they just go right over those. So, like, the Big Mom crew already knows they're there. Like, so it basically, like, gives away that Pudding was just pretending the whole time. So, I just think it's interesting. We have the, what's his name, Fromage, or whatever, Omelette au Fromage, or whatever his name is. We see him freaking out because Big Mom's on a rampage, and we learn about her hunger pangs. And it's, like, terrifying for them. And then we see, like, how little of a fuck she gives. She kills one of her own sons. So now there's only 84 children. She kills the 16th son, Minister Gelato Moscato. She straight up eats his soul, rips his soul out and eats it, like, just instantly. Just
getting in the way of her hunger pains.
Yeah, she just 100% like delicioso that shit, like Backpack from Dora. Like, that shit was wild. She's like 40 years, doom. He dead. All because she wants some cream puffs. And it's also like what's really fucked up is Jinbei, because we learned back in Fishman Island that he's been working for her to get Big Mom's protection for Fishman Island. Found a family of the cream puffs. Things that Big Mom wants. Because Big Mom's power is the soul fruit. She can take people's souls or her own and put them in inanimate objects to bring them to life. So she eats living things, which is kind of fucked up. And it shows her she constantly eats the living things too. It's kind of weird. Especially like you see like the cream puffs are terrified when they're getting shoved into her mouth. One of them was crying about getting eaten.
In fact, she calls them homies too.
I don't know what the Japanese name for him is, but homies is an interesting name for them for sure. And then we get to see a flashback of Jinbei talking to the leftover of his pirate crew from back in the day. And he's just like, I'm going to have to quit being a pirate because I did my job. I'm going to go join with, accept Luffy's invitation to join his crew. And they're all just like, dude, you haven't stopped talking about Luffy since you got back. Why the hell would we hold it against you from going and doing what you want to do? And that crap just cracked me up. And we also get a good show of one of Charlotte's daughters, Praline, the 29th daughter, the hammerhead shark mermaid, is married to Jinbei's first mate. Yeah. Is married to Aladdin or Aladdin, whatever. I'm not sure how to say his name. I just call him Aladdin. And you see, what's interesting is, you would think she would choose her mom's side, but she was just like, nah, if you're leaving, I'm going with you, hubby. Like, because she clearly is in love with him. Like, she is.
Ride or die.
Yeah, she's like, there's absolutely no need to talk it over. I'm going with you, and I will leave my mom for you. Like, we don't even have to talk
that's
about it.
One thing that Oda kind of has done twice now in Baby Five's case and now Praline's case.
Well, don't.
But that man, he ain't, huh?
Chiffon's case also.
Well, not yet. Not yet. We're gonna see with Chiffon, but not yet. But so far in Praline and who I just said before, Baby Five, the defecting to go, like the defecting the big power to go and follow their heart. Cause Baby Five's case, I mean, it still feel kind of like that shit was a mistake with Don signing her, but they kept it going.
Yeah, they got.
That's all that mattered at the end of the day, right?
As crown prince and
I'm talking about like soon as they little, I don't even call they thing a fight, but as soon as their little squabble
fight anymore, because what's it called? As soon as she realized, like, she didn't even realize it, but when he like said all that stuff and she misconstrued it as that, and he was just like, fine, I guess I'm stuck with her, and then protected her from like his granddad and everything.
Yeah.
Like, he went to bat for that, and she was just like, no one's ever fought for me before.
Yep, she was on board that one little moment. And now you see in Praline's case, we don't really get to see how they started, but the fact that they're married and the fact that she's been married to him.
Probably 2 years.
And
because that's when the Sun Pirates joined, was right after.
And literally, like, it's like, oh, you leaving mama? Bet, I'm with you.
You weren't going to leave me, and he was just like, no.
It's like that nuclear, he prioritizes that nuclear family, which is a good touch.
We see like a bunch of weird, interesting things about the world around where Big Mom lives. Like, one of the, not little oceans, but like spot of the body of water is made completely out of syrup, and it solidifies at night. So you have to get out with fire and melt it to be able to move. There's sea ants, which are just massive ants that live in the water. Terrifying as someone allergic to fire. Like, the only thing I'm allergic to is fire ants, so the idea that there's giant versions of fire ants is kind of terrifying. I don't like it. I don't like it. No, thank you. I don't like it at all. Yeah, it's the one thing I'm if I get bitten by one, I get blood blisters and everything, even if I don't touch them, and I hate it to death. So, I hate it to death. And then we get to, what's it called? They finally arrive to actual Whole Cake Island, which is where Big Mom lives. Brooke and Pedro split up to go find the road poneglyph. Because they're just like, Luffy, Pedro's a real one, though. We
know that.
I'd buy Pedro a shot at the bar. Pedro's a real one. He was like, I know you're kind of stupid, Luffy, but think about this real quick. We know for a fact she has one of the road poneglyphs. So shouldn't we go get the road poneglyph while we're here? That way we have two of them. just an etching. And Luffy was just like, what? Why would we do that? I'm just here to get Sanji. He's just like, Pedro's just like, we need the road poneglyph to find Laughtail and make you the king of pirates. And Luffy's just like, oh shit, you're right. And that cracked me up, because that's basically what you can boil down that exchange to, is Luffy doesn't understand, and then he's like, wait a minute. Like, that shit cracks me up so much. And also the fact Pedro didn't know that it was an actual submarine, which was kind of cool. He's just like, wait, this thing submerges? When he takes the thing. And then we have like 3 episodes of Luffy tripping balls in the woods made of candy. That's the best way to explain what happens.
Yeah, but it's not just him tripping. It's Brule playing with him.
Yeah.
Which we find out later.
But he's so stupid. He's tripping balls.
You know how like that this whole thing was like symbolic with like, hey, you know, only person gonna take me out is me, type thing.
Also, one thing I am curious. So there's the talking crocodile that almost eats Nami, but it turns out he didn't want to hurt Nami. He was just trying to eat the donut bridge, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, humans, my bad. When he... there was no reptile minks, right?
Not that I remember. I think minks are just mammals.
Yeah. I want to know if there's going to be... because this dude's not... like, we learn what this dude is. We learn what's up with this dude. But I'm curious, because fishmen are fish. Like, fish humans. Minks are like mammal humans. I wonder if we're ever going to get like reptile humans. Or is they just going to save that purely for people with like dragon fruit, ancient dragon fruits? Also, there's a great bit of foreshadowing here. When they're like, they want to run off to eat the different candies in the jungle. Nami says, stop, you bunch of animals. Like, she calls them beasts, and she's talking to Carrot, who's a rabbit mink, Chopper, who's a reindeer that ate the human fruit, and Luffy, who were like 200 episodes off of learning, is a Zoan type fruit user.
Well, the Zoan that has a human fruit, which wouldn't make him an animal, but synonymous with the Zoans we've seen have all been animals, so I understand.
No, it's just
it's definitely a high IQ foreshadow, but a foreshadow nonetheless.
Yeah, like, because she's particularly talking to them and calling them, I can't remember if she says beasts or animals. I'm pretty sure she says animals, to stop them from like running off. And I was just like, that's kind of funny. Like, I was just like, that's a good bit of foreshadowing, because you wouldn't know it the first time, but this time, like, in a rewatch though, you know, like, every time he like hints that there's a Zoan fruit involved with Luffy, you're just like, oh shit, there it is. It's like going back and watching a Christopher Nolan movie, or like a Quentin Tarantino movie, where like they give away little bits of it, and you're just like, right there, like the meme with what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, and he's just like, he's right snapping there and pointing. Yeah, that's what it makes me think of every time. And then there's Luffy's got to fight a clone of himself, and they're still chasing Sanji. And it's like, the clone of himself is interesting.
Oh, of course.
Just because, like, I wonder, does it just look like it can do it? Because we know how the clone is made. It's Brule's power. But, like, is it just an animal that she made look like it can do Luffy's powers, so Luffy thinks it's happening? Or can she actually minimally copy Devil Fruit powers when she turns something into a copy?
I will go with the latter.
It's just interesting. And then they're stuck in the forest trying to get out. They meet a dude that they think's a giant named Pound, who's very annoying. Pound is very annoying. We learned that how everything's alive in the forest is Big Mom takes bits of her souls and the penance that she has to stay in her territory, which is, what is it, like a year? It costs like a year of your soul or something like that. She uses the bits of souls to make the homies. And then we get Jinbei talks to Big Mom. And to talk to Big Mom is he has to sacrifice something to leave her since she's losing such a valuable aspect. We meet Charlotte Brule, crazy lady that wants to cut up pretty people. Like that, her words, not mine. Her words, not mine. She legit says, I just want to cut up all the beautiful people because she's jealous. Like, that's actually what she says. It's kind of weird.
Her words, not his.
Yeah. And then we get the duel between Judge. Right after that, we get the Judge and Sanji duel. And we see that the kick that Sanji landed on Yonji, like, seriously fucked Yonji up if it wasn't for the fact that his skin's virtually indestructible. They had to use, like, a hydraulic press to fix his face. Like, not kidding. It's like an actual, like, double hydraulic press. But what's interesting, like we were talking about, like the capoeira stuff and the stuff like that, in his like duel with Judge, at the beginning he starts using capoeira, and as the thing goes on, and he starts doing more and more, like stuff that like impresses Judge, where Judge is like, damn, this is not the same boy. He uses more and more Muay Thai in the fight. And then we get a flashback with Sanji as a kid getting the shit knocked out of him by his brothers for him making food. But you see, like, he uses...
Rat food is what they called it.
Yeah, rat food. But it turns out, we learn that the reason Sanji becomes obsessed with cooking isn't because of the time that he spent lost at sea. It was because his mother thought it was nice whenever she was brought food by her kids. Excuse me. And then we see, like, when he's fighting Judge, like, he uses, like, a Muay Thai stance to defend from Judge's attacks and stuff. Like, how he, like, parries the spear with his knee and shin and stuff like that. He just uses Muay Thai techniques comparatively to, like, his capoeira techniques during the fight. We see Judge has a thing, an electric version of what Sanji does with his heart fire stuff. And we see, like, Sanji's just, like, barely even hurt by all this. He's just like, damn. He's just smoking his cigarette while it's happening. And he's just, like, asking, like, does he have to forgive? He's, like, asking his younger self, like, do I have to forgive him? Like, I know that you don't have a single good memory, but do I have to forgive the man for everything that he's done?
Like him, like basically confronting that other demon of him. Because he's never even thought about forgiving him a day in his life, probably.
Yeah. And then, like, you can tell, like, Judge was afraid that Sanji's kick was actually going to do something. Because he made some men stand in front of him to rattle him. And it's just like, that's just to show you how willing they are to die. And the only thing that's left over from Judge's, like, super special signature attack, flying attack, is Sanji has a scratch on his forehead. That's it. That's all he has from, like, Judge's most powerful attack, is he has a scratch on his forehead. And then they put collars on his wrist that will blow up his hands. But also, like, I feel like at this point, Sanji could have survived them blowing up, because we see how strong they are later. Armament Haki on his hands could probably have stopped it. Like when we get to Wano, when we see how the collars actually work. But, like, Sanji doesn't know that. Sanji thinks, like, they're the end-all be-all. So it makes sense why he doesn't freak out. But, like, we know, like, they're not that scary. Like, for a normal person, they're probably absolutely fucking terrifying. But for someone that's good with armament hockey like Sanji, it's weird how torn up he is about it. And then Pedro and Brooke learn that they've known about where they are the entire time. Like, they've just known since day one. And then we get Beji. We learn Beji is, what's it called? The one that kidnapped Peckham's. Because he secretly wants to overthrow Big Mom. And we meet Charlotte Chiffon, Beji's wife, and their son, Capone Gang Pez. But it's funny that his name is Pez because it's probably named after Pez dispenser, but Pez comes from the German word for peppermint.
Really?
Because the
No,
original
that's
the original flavor was peppermint of the Pez dispenser, so it's like a hyphenated version of the German word for peppermint, which is kind of cool. His name is Pez. And is because what's it called? If I remember correctly, the word chiffon is a can't remember exactly. It's a like a light and airy cake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew that.
But the thing that's interesting, it's funny that his name is Pez because peppermint chiffon cake is a famous version of chiffon cake. So it's funny that his name is Pez. Because like there's like I remember seeing like it's so famous that it's like a Betty Crocker recipe on like the back of one of the chiffon cake mixes for peppermint chiffon. So I just think it's funny. Like it's super clever on his part that Beji and Chiffon's kid is named after one of the most popular flavors of the type of cake that chiffon is named after.
Named after, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. Also, we see Capone's actually like Capone's a piece of shit, but he's actually a pretty good dad, which is kind of funny. Like he's obsessed with making his kid laugh and everything, and also Pez's pacifier is shaped like a cigar, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the one right there.
Yeah. And then we see they're just like, yo, Caesar, you got 2 weeks or we're gonna kill you. And it turns out that this was not a meme. Caesar spent all the money Big Mom gave him on hookers and blow. It's hilarious that it's not a meme. He legitimately spent it all on blow and hookers. Like, he spent it all on, like, he even says it in the anime. He spent every dime she gave him, every dime, on booze, drugs, and call women. Like, that is hilarious to me. That Oda's just like, yeah, Caesar's a massive piece of shit. He spent all this money on hookers and blow. That's it. Like, that is so hilarious to me. Other people might not find it that funny, but I find it absolutely fucking hilarious. And then, so Big Mom's like, you got 2 weeks to master your giantification problem. Because the only reason he doesn't immediately die is because he's just like, Law and Straw Hat destroyed everything. Like, blame them. And Big Mom just like didn't give a fuck. And then we go back to the forest of tripping balls.
Yeah.
And Luffy keeps thinking, like, he keeps grabbing every clone of them that he finds and just bringing them back. And he's just like, these aren't the right ones. And then we learn that in Total Land, twice a year, the residents have to either have to die or give up part of their soul to stay here. Which is kind of, like, it's not even kinda, it is just super fucked up.
Oh no, it's messed up. It's
Yeah.
really messed up.
But it gets into what we're going to talk about in a minute about Big Mom. Once Luffy figures it out, they escape Brûlé and everything. the and the cracker fight that's gonna start. The big thing about Big Mom is there's a archetype in Jungian psychology called the devouring mother, and Big Mom is that metaphor for an overbearing mother taken to the absolute fucking extreme. Cause like not
Literally.
even she's not just overbearing, but she devours everything. Like absolutely everything. Like
That's
that's
literally
her whole
her whole
character.
base.
Yeah, that's everything. But we're gonna get into that whole metaphor in a minute because it comes up best uh, after the cracker stuff. We learned that the dude with the giant head stuck in the ground, Chiffon and Lola's dad. Cracker shows up, who's the third strongest of the what's it called, of all the Charlotte kids. He has the biscuit fruit, which in America
Bisu
should
Bisu.
be the cookie because that's the type of biscuit they mean. We see that the Viva card Lola gave Nami, since it has a bit of Big Mom soul in it, lets her control the homies. Chopper and Carrot get captured by Brule. Cracker starts piecing up Luffy. So we learned Cracker is on par with Gear 4 roughly with this stuff, which is interesting. Like we see all the stuff. Also, the whole thing with Cracker is he's just mortified of pain. Like he's just scared to death of pain. So he hides in a really hard cracker shell. And then Luffy and Cracker fight. And that's pretty much how it all goes down, which is interesting. Because of how they fight. He's just like, ah, shit. Gear 4 broke Cracker. Now we gotta fight the real Cracker. And he's just like, wait, there's an infinite amount of these guys? You're saying they're made out of cookies? I'ma just start eating them. And that's how the fight goes. It's seeing what's stronger. Cracker's ability to make biscuit clones or Luffy's hunger. And if you've paid attention to anything in One Piece, you know what the answer is. So, but it ends with the episode ends with Big Mom talking about Cracker should easily defeat them, and Vince Smoke Judge talking about his beloved sons are finally home. And then we get the whole thing where Sanji calls out his older brothers for being pussies and trying to waste food. And you can just tell like Sanji could probably win.
I mean, in Sanji's case, I mean, he's pretty much. We've already established that Sanji pretty much can do like what they can do without a raid suit. He just doesn't have the defense. But we don't really. The only thing I say, we don't see other brothers really act outside of their raid suit. I mean, even up in when we see we're gonna get to, of course, later on, which I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing now. Like when they get like captured and stuff, and they don't have their raid suits, it's like a big handicap.
Yeah, it's like a huge handicap. Cause like we don't quite get into it because it ends like right when he throws the thing, but that's when the episode basically ends, where he just like shows Nietsche that he's probably just as strong. Because Nietsche throws the plate from across the room, and Sanji was fast enough to immediately like teleport in front of it and catch it. Because he's like so much faster than his brothers probably are. And they're not in raid suits or anything, so when he catches it, and Nietzsche's just like, the fuck? How'd he get there? Holy shit.
Mhm.
But for the episodes, that's pretty much everything that happened. The Devouring
For
Mother
this one,
archetype, it's really gonna go hard and heavy at the not the at the close to the end where she loses Zeus is when you see it like where Zeus starts to side with not like wants to go with Nami is where you see it big time as when we get the Mother Caramel stuff
in
because I
mine,
think
because yeah,
because Mother Caramel is gonna be like I think that's in the 860s, right? If I remember
somewhere
correctly.
around there. 'Cause it's
When we
around
learn,
when the climax happens,
yeah.
when they actually try to destroy the portrait. And the devouring mother concept is something to look at going forward throughout, because it's like we gonna see it with everything that she does, even how she's treating Jinbei right now.
Oh, it's episode 836, so we'll actually talk about it a lot next week. It's 836 is the one where we meet Mother Caramel and everything, or not next week. That's 2 weeks away, and that's when like it's gonna be like hard and heavy.
Oh well,
And that we could spend almost the entire of that week's episode talking about the devouring mother with it because it all stems from the trauma that she has as a little kid about feeling that her mother abandoned her.
yep.
Because that's how some people end up getting the complex of the devouring mother. But yeah, I think that's it for today, guys. Um,
Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Let us know anything in this sequence episodes you might have missed. Anything in this sequence episodes y'all want to touch on. Anything that we need to touch on. Anything, man. Just hit in the comments. Let us know. Like the stream. We appreciate all y'all support that's been on the channel so far. Let's keep it going. Trying to get to 50, 100 subs. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, of course.
yeah, we're gonna get there. And thanks again. Can't say it enough. I hope y'all have a good week. And we'll
Pretty
be
much waiting on
back.
Christmas now.
Yeah. We might have to do like something special for Christmas. I don't know yet with the episode. It just depends on how it is. But
Yeah, we'll get there.
yeah, well, also I think we're gonna be at Christmas like the first week that we start Wano. So yeah, we might want to do because Wano's like the biggest arc ever for One Piece. Like structure wise and like how big it was for like the One Piece community. So, but yeah, hope y'all have a good one. We'll see y'all roughly this time next week. It's Corrupted
It's Dragon.
signing off. Y'all have a good one.